Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm giving you my favorite cottage cheese recipes. Alright, if you're new here, hi, I'm Claire. Welcome, come on in, make yourselves comfortable. Have you been on the internet recently? If you have, you probably know that we are really going through a cottage cheese moment. And I've hopped right on that bandwagon, and I'm obsessed with cottage cheese right now. So full disclosure, I tried cottage cheese for the first time just a couple months ago. I always was just disgusted by cottage cheese. I love cheese, so I don't know why for me the way it looked was such a mental block. I never ate it as a child. I always thought it was kind of funky looking and not good. And then the TikToks got me and I saw all these people cooking with it and I was like, all right, I'm gonna try it. And the really important thing that got me hooked is of course the protein content. In just a half a cup of cottage cheese, you have 12 grams of protein, which is amazing. I follow a type of eating that is really high in protein. It's something that I have to try to get every single day. And this has really made it a lot easier. So if you're someone who maybe loves cottage cheese and wants to know some more ways to use it, keep watching. If you're someone who thinks cottage cheese is weird and gross, keep watching because I'm gonna prove to you that it's not, and there's things you can do to it that make it really good. It's also worth noting that this only cost me just over $2 at Aldi, which makes it a very affordable source of protein, which is also something that's very important to me. So yeah, now that I've fully endorsed cottage cheese, here are 4 different recipes for you to try. All right, my first one for you guys are these delicious little cottage cheese crisps, and it's the easiest one, so that's why I started with it. You either need parchment paper or I've got my reusable silicone mat, and all you do is put a tablespoon of cottage cheese on your parchment paper / mat. You could do smaller ones. They, don't take as long, but I find that around a tablespoon works perfectly. You flavor them however you want. My favorite is to use this everything but the bagel seasoning because it's salty and garlicky. It's got all the best flavors. I'm putting this in a 350-degree oven for half an hour, and that's all you do. They turn out so crispy. They're like little cheesy crackers, and there is so much protein in these. I throw these on a charcuterie board, and they're so good. I'm not gonna lie, I always have a creepy little super burnt one in the back. I don't know what's wrong with my oven because there's just always one that does that, but all the other ones turned out great. So good. 10 out of 10. Look at that snap. We love it. We love to see it. All right, next we are making zucchini fritters. This time of year, I have so much zucchini in my garden that I'm constantly looking for ways to use it. I just picked this out of the garden yesterday, and you are going to need 1 cup of zucchini, and that kind of worked out. This medium-sized zucchini was the perfect size. Use a cheese grater if you don't have a food processor. And then you're going to want to squeeze it because there's a lot of water in zucchini. You could also use carrots, or you could do potatoes. You could do latkes like this as well. But I have so much zucchini, I had to use it. So we have 1 cup of zucchini. And to that, I'm adding half a cup of cottage cheese. We're doing half a cup of flour. Now we also need 2 eggs, but if you watch me, you know I raise quail, so I have quail eggs. And about 4 quail eggs equals 1 chicken egg. So we've got 8 quail eggs. I know that's a weird ingredient, but just use 2 chicken eggs, it's fine. These just take a little more work to get, but we love our quail, so it's worth it. 2 eggs. So when it comes to seasoning, you can season this however you like. I am using this ranch seasoning from Trader Joe's. It's really salty and just has a great blend of ingredients, so I love the way that tastes. And I'm also adding a teaspoon of baking powder. Now we are going to fry these, so use a neutral oil, canola oil, vegetable oil. I decided to make some big ones and some little ones just to see, how I felt, how the vibe was. I will say that the smaller ones were easier to flip and they cooked a little bit faster. So probably in the future I would go with more of the nugget sized ones rather than a pancake sized one. But it's just preference. And it only took 2 minutes on each side. And yeah, this is kind of messy though. Honestly, frying things like this is not my first choice because it just makes such a mess. But dang, if they were not so delicious. But I also wanted to try them in the air fryer because that is way less messy and like a little healthier. So I thought I would give this a try. I did it at 350 for 10 minutes and I flipped them halfway through. And I could tell like they were forming into nice little nuggets, you know, but they definitely were not crisping up, you know, the same way that the ones were obviously that were fried in oil, but I did want to give it a fair chance. And yes, the ones I fried on the stove were incredible. They were so, so good. And the ones that I made in the air fryer, they were still good. And maybe if I had just made those ones, I would have been like, wow, these are amazing. But because I was coming off eating the fried ones, they were not as good. But I would do this again. And really, the cottage cheese just made these like so creamy with that great fresh zucchini. Incredible. Next, we're making mac and cheese. And this is so high in protein, you guys. You're going to love this. So super simple and easy. Only a couple ingredients. I am using my cottage cheese and I'm using white cheddar. I love white cheddar in a mac and cheese. It's definitely more like the Panera mac and cheese uses white cheddar. And to really bump up the protein, we're using chickpea pasta today. This is 1 cup of chickpea pasta. It has 19 grams of protein in it. We're also going in for a full cup of cottage cheese. Like guys, this is an insane amount of protein. And then about half a cup of the white cheddar, and that's all you need in there. You don't need any milk, you don't need any liquid. Just put it over a low heat and that cottage cheese will melt. And as far as spices go, salt, pepper, and smoked paprika. And you just keep stirring it and eventually it gets like smooth and creamy. And I had no idea that cottage cheese would melt and be like velvety smooth. I had no idea that you could do that with cottage cheese. But I did it. And of course, this turned out to be like way too much of a serving for me. So this took care of lunch for me for 2 days and has just a massive amount of protein, super filling, but definitely gives you that great like homey, warm mac and cheese vibe, but totally filling. I've had this lunch, I don't know, at least maybe like 5 or 6 times in the last month. All right, here we go. The viral flatbread. You know I had to share it with you. This is so good, you guys. It's a regular rotation in our house. The proportions I'm going to give you are going to be for 1 flatbread. So if you want to make like a big one for more than 1, then you're going to want to double this. But what I'm doing here, this is half a cup of cottage cheese and 1 egg. And that's your proportion. If you want a bigger one, do a full cup of cottage cheese and 2 eggs. And season this however you like. I'm just using garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and pepper. But I've seen people do all sorts of interesting stuff. I've seen people add spinach to this or other veggies if you're like wanting to pump up your fiber a little bit. There's like a lot of like ways you can customize this, but I'm putting this into my little blender. I have seen people make these like wraps with just the cottage cheese like lumpy, and it like totally works okay. However, I wanted mine to be smooth. I've done this a few times now, and this is definitely my preference. Again, I'm using my silicone mat, but you could use parchment paper. And I'm just pouring this on there and like trying to spread it. You want to practice this a few times. If you get it real thin, then it burns. If it's like uneven, you got some spots that like aren't quite done and some spots that are like crispy. So you really want to get that sweet spot. You don't want to see your parchment paper or your mat like through the liquid, if that makes sense. So I'm just making like a little square out of it. And I'm trying to spread it as evenly as I can, but shaking it like this is definitely a good way to get it nice and even. You're gonna pop that in a 375-degree oven for about half an hour, but keep an eye on it because it really depends on how thick it is for how long it's gonna take. And I can't believe how well this turns out. It like literally feels like a tortilla. It's like a mixture between a flatbread and a tortilla. So now I'm actually gonna make a BLT with it today. I've got tomatoes from my garden. I got lettuce from my garden. I've got some super lazy girl pre-cooked bacon that I bought at Aldi today. And this, honestly, high protein lunch of champions. This flatbread, it's like flexible and it makes total sense that it would work that way, but I just would never think to do something like this with cottage cheese. Also keto friendly. There's no flour, no gluten in this at all. I'm throwing a little ranch dressing on there with my bacon, lettuce, and tomato. I've seen people leave it as a flatbread and make like a pizza out of it as well, like to use it as a crust. I'm using it like as a wrap today. Guys, this was so good. I am filming the voiceover right now and I'm instantly wishing that I had one of these to eat right now. It was so good. We love this one, I think, the best. I'm not gonna lie. I've even got my husband hooked on this one. And with that extra egg in there, you're really packing in the protein. And you could fill that with anything you wanted. All right, you guys, there you go. Those were all my cottage cheese recipes. Honestly, I'm about to put the kids to bed. I'm gonna use this cottage cheese right here to make some more of the little like crisps, because that's my vibe when I want to snack at night now. I go right for the crisps, and they take the perfect amount of time. By the time I'm done putting my kids to bed, I'm ready to eat them. So that's my plan. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Do you use any of these sort of viral cottage cheese recipes? I'd love to hear it. And if you have any more, I know I've seen someone do like a dessert sort of situation, like a brownie. So maybe one of these nights I will give that a try. But if you have anything else, definitely leave it for me down below, because I'm super interested in all things cottage cheese right now. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and come back for more, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!